Hey, what's going on? My name's Coach Lee Hopkins. My pronouns are he, him, his, and you're listening to the Patterns of Possibility podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to helping you replace harmful patterns with new possibilities. In each episode, we'll explore topics that inspire you to be yourself, live your truth, and make lasting friendships. In this episode, we are going to talk about enhancing your conversations with the 4 social gifts. Are you ready? Let's go. Have you heard of the 4 social gifts? If you haven't, this is really awesome. This is a concept from a book called First Impressions: What You Don't Know About How Others See You. This book is full of ideas on building awareness about your mannerisms, your energy, your attitude, and how those things might impact other people. Now, the book is great overall. I highly recommend it. However, the 4 social gifts is one concept that really stood out to me. The authors emphasize that any great first impressions has these 4 elements: elevation, appreciation, enlightenment, and connection. Now, I'm sharing this with you because I believe that although they're great for first impressions, they're also wonderful to keep in mind to nurture any relationship. If you're struggling with dry conversation, if you don't know what to talk about, then these 4 gifts are going to help you elevate your conversations. I say elevate because the first one is elevation. See, people naturally like to be in good spirits. They like to laugh. They like to feel uplifted. They're really drawn to people who can make them feel that way. So if you can elevate others' moods with a joke or an anecdote or smiling, you can really keep someone's attention. Now, I'm not suggesting that you go create an entire comedy routine. Just keep a few smiles in your pocket ready to show. That's it. The second one is appreciation. Everyone likes to feel appreciated and affirmed. You can show your appreciation when you demonstrate that you understand and respect them for their positive qualities. And there are so many positive qualities. If you're looking for them, you are going to be able to find them pretty easily. And everyone loves when you shine that brightly for them. Number 3, enlightenment. Now, we're all curious people. We're all curious creatures. We like to learn something new. Interesting facts, ideas, perspective, events, maybe even trivia. I don't like trivia, but I like all kinds of other things. I like learning about lots of different things. I'm just terrible at the trivia game. But I digress. We're curious. So bearing the gift of enlightenment makes you stimulating and appealing to be around. And I must share with you that it doesn't have to be about some deep philosophical topic, or it doesn't have to be something really intense like international politics. It could be about a curious thing that you noticed on the way to work, or it could be about a movie you saw or an article you read in a magazine. And finally, number 4, we have connection. Connection is about finding where you intersect with another person. It can be as simple as pointing out where you have the same attitude or feeling about something, as in, I feel the same way, or I love that movie too. It makes others feel understood, and it provides them with a sense of belonging. In essence, it's like saying, I'm like you. And that, my friends, is one of the most deeply desired things of every person on this planet. The 4 social gifts are absolutely amazing, and I highly recommend that you use them in your next conversations. But I want to share with you one last consideration, is that healthy relationships depend on your awareness of which of the 4 gifts you do and do not give to others. If you're focusing on only 1 or 2 of these gifts, it can be off-putting because not everyone responds to the same gifts. Some people may only want to talk about politics or things like that because that interests them, but they may not want to be in a session with someone who's a comedian who's essentially just talking about themselves and making jokes all the time. It's a combination of the four that really help you create interesting conversation. So with that in mind, remember to keep balance between the four. Now, balance comes when you understand how the four gifts complement each other to make people feel truly seen, heard, and understood. I'll be right back with the Answer Reddit friendship advice question. This week's Reddit friendship advice question is how not to be boring. Hello everyone, I'm a fellow 20-something looking to meet people and expand my circle. However, I'm bad at small talk and have anxiety, which I feel reflects in my conversations with people. I tend to listen more than I speak. I want to ask, what's a good way to keep text and in-person conversations going? What are some of your favorite things to talk about or that others talk to you about? What do you hate that people do in conversations? Any advice on how to have better conversations and make friends? Well, the first thing I would say to you is fellow 20-something, I'm not 20-something. Well, the first thing I would say to you is that you are not boring. Maybe you have conversations with boring people, but you yourself aren't boring. All right, what do I mean by that? Well, everyone's interesting. Everyone has something fun and exciting about them. They just don't know what it is just yet. I found myself connecting people, trying to talk to people who weren't interested in me. And they weren't interested in me because I didn't know what I wanted to share with them, or I was afraid to share things with them. So as I read this, you see that you have anxiety and you're bad at small talk. Well, a lot of people aren't really excited about small talk these days, right? We're craving connection, especially after the pandemic. We're craving this deep, rich conversation that you can probably find if you use some of the four social gifts. This elevation, appreciation, enlightenment, and connection. So when you're trying to elevate people, well, you want to bring something light to the conversation, something interesting. But I think, and I believe, let's say I know, that all of your connections are going to start with you because you're the center of it. So everything you talk about in these four social gifts should be something that relates to you, something that you're emotionally invested in, so that these small talk conversations become a little more big talk conversations, and that this anxiety that you have in conversations with people become more self-assured because you know yourself better than anyone else. You know yourself. So how can you elevate the conversation? Do you have a story or something interesting that has happened to you? And I say interesting because it must be interesting to you, so that you can connect with another person. Don't make up anything that you think they might like. Be genuine about who you are and expressing yourself. So, is there something that was fun and exciting and good-natured or light-hearted to you that you've had happen that you can share with another person? And I don't want you to look at a TV show and talk about a story from a TV show. I want you to look at your own life and talk about you and how you felt in that experience in an uplifting manner. Then you can elevate someone by sharing more of you. At the same time, they're getting to know you and they're feeling good about knowing you. Appreciation. Well, appreciation is a little difficult to do when you really don't know people that well, but you can, if you're focused on them, find something to appreciate about them. So this is where you have to be interested to be interesting. Be interested in them and appreciate them for the positive qualities that you find revering, you find interesting in them. And also you can share an interesting or a story in which you felt appreciated. Some lighthearted story where you felt appreciated. And I'm going to stick with lighthearted because when you first meet people, you want to talk about things that will both bring joy to you, so that you can just kind of connect in that space there. Don't hand them a scary story or a frightening story or one that might frustrate them. Don't hand a story like that to them. Connect in the joy. So share a story in which you were appreciated and talk about what makes you feel appreciated. And then you could easily move the conversation towards what makes them feel appreciated and talking about why it's important to you. All right, now enlightenment. Well, like I said, we're all curious. Can you share something that you do? Do you have a hobby? Do you have a habit that you do it for a health reason? Like, do you know that some interesting facts about potatoes and kale and collard greens or something like that you want to share with other people? Bugs. Do you have a hobby? Do you know something that is just fun and interesting and lighthearted that brings you joy that you'd want to share with another person? Talk about those things and also ask about those things. And then the connection. Well, we want to find out how you are alike. So this is why I keep talking about sharing yourself and your stories and your perspective, because they want to be able to see themselves in you. So share something that you like. Talk about something that you like, you enjoy, like going to the movies. Do you enjoy board games like I do? What kind of board games? What kind of movies? What kind of video games do you enjoy doing? What were your experiences growing up? What was high school like for you? Since you're in your 20s something, you might remember that. I've blocked that out of my mind completely. What were those things like for you? What were those milestone events like for you? Share those and see if you can find connection and how you felt about those things. You also asked, what do people do that you hate in conversation? Something along those lines. And the first thing that pops into my mind is when people don't really share. They don't really share. They don't really open up, and they don't really talk about how they feel about things. Instead, they'll give me lots of facts about their experiences. It hardly creates a story, and there's no emotional investment for me. So I'd like to really get to know and see a person. And I think that a lot of people feel the same way. They just may not be able to put their finger on it. They'd be like, I'm bored with this person. Well, you're probably bored because they haven't emotionally struck you in any way. So be mindful of that. Be mindful of the feeling that you bring to the table. It's contagious. It really is. All right. Thank you so much for posting. I know that you didn't ask me to answer that question, but I did. And I hope that this helps. Best of luck. Take care. My name is Coach Lee Hopkins, and you have been listening to the Patterns of Possibility podcast. You can find me at patternsofpossibility.com and on all social media at Patterns of Possibility. And as always, I want to encourage you to be yourself, live your truth, and there you'll make lasting friendships.